as a new doctor, you'll be working quite a lot, 50 to 60 hours a week and up to 80 sometimes. Yep. So in terms of medical school, each year of our degree, it's $17,000 for each year.
17,000?
Yep, 17,000 each year. So it's 6 years. So by the end of my degree, I'll be having around 100K, 100,000 worth of loan. Part 4 would be cost of living during your education or your degree.
Okay, so with nursing school, it's about, at least for my university, it's about $8,000 per year. I've got a student loan, so I don't worry about it too much at the moment. And then on top of the student loan, you get like a living loan that you've got to pay back as well if you like earn over a certain amount. So currently I'm actually doing okay in terms of like cost of living. Everything's kind of been sorted out, so yeah, that's kind of what you can expect. If you're an international student though, it's like $30,000 a year, which is a lot of money. Would you say similar?
Sorry, I was going to ask you something.
Yeah, you go.
I forgot. I've heard it's about the same for Auckland Uni nursing school as well. It's around, I think, 7,000 to 8,000 a year. So, do you flat or do you stay at home?
Yeah, so I'm flatting at the moment. My parents moved down to Raglan this year, so we were kind of like made to move out so I could stay up here, but that's all good. So we've got a really good rent though. Like, we had to look for a good rent. We found one that's nice and affordable.
So you've got, is it living costs from the student loan, living costs, and then you also work part-time as well?
Yeah. I'm a supervisor at Countdown, so that's what I do. I work on weekends only though, so not a lot of time to like earn a lot, which is why the living loan is really, really nice, because it kind of just gets you over the edge.
In terms of medical school, each year of our degree, it's $17,000 for each year.
17,000?
Yep, 17,000 each year. So it's 6 years. So by the end of my degree, I'll be having around 100K, 100,000 worth of loan. But that's fine.
That's all.
Yeah, it's the most beefy one.
Yeah.
But that's okay because there's no interest, and I just pay it back with my salary when I graduate. Which is okay. Given the inflation right now, it'll be fine. But but I'm expecting by the time I graduate, it'll be closer to 20,000 a year, which is crazy. So like Charlotte, I think I get around $280 a week from student loan living costs, and then I work 10 hours a week as a medical receptionist at a GP practice, 1 day a week. So that's an extra, I think, $200 that I make. So that comes up to, just under 500 a week that I get from my all sorts of income.
That's like the same with me as well, roughly about that amount.
Yeah, so the amount that I earn from my part-time job doesn't go over the
over the
cap,
living loan thing.
The living loan cap. So that's a good one. Yeah. Personally, I live at home, so I just leash off my parents. So I don't have the pressure of, buying food or paying rent, but I will be when I go on to my clinical placements in the future years, because it's way more convenient to stay close to the hospital.
And I feel like the only difference really is like the course fees. You've got a more hefty course fee than I do. Apart from that, I feel like
it's crazy, right? Like 100K, yeah, that's fine. I'll make up with it with my salary, so it's good. But that's a good transition into career outlooks and lifestyle after graduating, which is part 5.
So if you're doing nursing, once you graduate, there's heaps and heaps of opportunities for like what type of nursing you want to get into, and especially because we've got a nursing shortage at the moment. So like pretty much if you wanted to do something particular, I feel like they'd probably take you just because there is that shortage. So you can do things like research nursing, you can go into educating, you can go into bedside nursing. There's just like a lot of stuff that you can do with it.
We've gone through life during medical and nursing school, right? So after you graduate, yeah.
Okay. Well, so if you're doing like, if you're in a community nurse, right, then you're going to be doing generally like 40 hours a week set. You could do extra and stuff, but that's generally like 40 hours a work week. Monday to Friday is kind of your typical prospects. But if you're doing hospital work, you're going to be doing things 8 to 12 hour shifts, and you're going to be doing morning, evening and night shifts. And I think you've got, especially if you're doing night shifts, you do like 2 or 3 night shifts, and then you've got a set number of days off that you can't work, so you've got time to like rest and everything. But that's typically how it works, 8 to 12 hour shifts and stuff. There's also opportunity, like you don't just have to get your bachelor's degree, like you can also go and get your master's and your PhD for nursing too. So
in terms of salary, as a new graduate intern doctor, or what we call PG Y1 or 2, so postgraduate year 1 or 2, the salary's around 100k a year. It ranges somewhere between I think 85k to 115, I think, the top, because it depends on the run that you're on, the specialty that you're on. I think something like, don't quote me, but I think something like surgery, which is more intense and you're having more, the specialties that you're having more on course, you get paid more, so you'll be having closer to the higher end of the salary, and also it relates to your working hour as well. So if you work more than 65 hours a week, then you're probably going to be earning above 100k most of the times.
Yeah.
And then your life after graduating as a new doctor, you'll be working quite a lot. So you'll be regularly working 50 to 60 hours a week and up to 80 sometimes. And you also rotate through different specialties, and you'll be on call from time to time, and like you, there will be shift works. So generally, the amount of workload that you do as a new graduate doctor, it's quite a heavy strain on your life outside of medicine. So it's really important to try and preserve your interests, your other hobbies, so that a few years later, when you get into your, desired specialty and you're kind of on the pathway up, you can come back to that, so that medicine's not your whole life. And then in terms of career outlooks, how it works is that you graduate medical school, go through 2 years of sort of intern or house officer or PGY 1 or 2, and then you get your general medical license, your registration. And then from that point onwards, you go into a training program, or people choose to take a year or 2 off and do something else, do some research, or they just go and enjoy their lives. Yep, so after the intern years, you go into typically a training program of some sort of specialty, which then you would be a registrar doctor or resident if you're from North America. And that typically takes around 6 to up to 10 years to complete. So that's your registrar period or your residency. And then by the time you finish your residency or your training program, you'll be in your mid-30s. And then that's when you apply for a job and you become a consultant, which is one of the big bosses for each department in the hospitals. And at that point, you can chill now. No, you can't. You still need to go to conferences and keep learning. It's a lifelong learning career. And then when you become a consultant, you could do lots of things, like you can work at public hospitals. You could also do medical education, lecturing, uni students, and also private practice. So lots of opportunities. And then part 6, which is role differences of a nursing student versus medical student, or nurse versus doctor.
Should we do student first?
Yeah, do student first.
So I feel like the role of a nursing student, especially when you're in placements, it's really just to be like supporting the nurses to get their workload done, because everyone's so understaffed, there's a lot of like little jobs or like hands-on jobs, such as like feeding patients and stuff, that it takes time out of like the nurse's shift and stuff that they could be spending focusing on like medications and stuff for other patients. So when you're on placement, I feel like your role as a nursing student is really just supporting the nurses to get through the shift pretty much. You're also going to be like learning everything, and it's also your job to be actively learning things and like asking questions and stuff, but I feel like really it is like a supporting
Yeah. That's when you're in your clinical placements, right? Yeah. For a medical student, when you're in your preclinical years or going to lectures and going to labs and things, your job is just to be a uni student and learn. But when you're on placements, perhaps in the earlier years, so 3rd year, 4th year, maybe the beginning of 5th year, you kind of step back and observe more and learn more. But then as you progress through in your final year, you're being called a trainee intern, so you're expected to take around a third to a half of what a intern doctor or house officer doctor does. So that's when you have to step up your responsibility. But it depends on the specialty you're on as well. For example, for the specialty that I'm on right now, I'm placed on hematology. So for hematology, relatively speaking, there's more doctors. The doctor to patient ratio, it's higher comparing to some specialties like general medicine. So right now, I can comfortably take more of a step back and have more of a learning role. Yeah, so doctors generally follow what we call a disease model of care. So we focus a lot, in Western medicine at least, we focus a lot on the biomedical perspective of the patient. And that's everything to do with treatment, management, planning, everything. And then obviously the more junior staff kind of execute them. And then you've got more senior staff that overlooks everything and steps in when you need to. Yeah, so for doctors, it's more of a diagnosing, treatment, and management.
Yeah, and then for nurses, it's just carrying out the plan and monitoring and advocating for patients as well, like what they want out of their healthcare plan and stuff. So.
Yeah, obviously, I think you've got nurse practitioners and physician assistants, which kind of comes in between. Yeah, which is nice because now it's not as primitive as back in 100 years ago, where we've only got doctors and nurses. So that's a good innovation in the medical system. So the last part being, should you choose nursing school or medical school? What kind of person would you be if you want to study nursing?
There's like a shared thing. If you want to be a doctor or a nurse, you've got to be good with people and want to help people.
Yep.
I feel like if you don't want as much competition in your university degree specifically, then nursing is a really good option because you don't have to compete to get into the degree. So
once you get, I'm gonna put it out there. Once you get in, though, it's
nice and chill.
Yeah, it's nice and chill. Until you get to the registrar or resident stage where you have to go into training program. Then that's when it gets crazy again.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I think if you don't want the competition for your studying or trying to get into the degree, then nursing is a really nice choice. And also length of the degree. My degree is a lot shorter than Harry's is, so it's if you want to get into working quicker and having full autonomy in your role and stuff quicker, then nursing is also a really good choice because it's only 3 years in New Zealand, whereas it's 6 years for you.
Yep.
So, and finances, I have less of a debt to pay off.
And yeah, so I think for medicine, if you want to specialize deep into a certain pathology or a certain field, then that'll be a good choice for you because you do more learning and you're involved in more sort of, in a way, the biomedical side of it, treatment, diagnosis. Yeah, so if you want to specialize more and you've got a deep desire and great curiosity for a certain medical area, then you should, medicine's the choice for you. But overall, I think both are great career options. Both are great if you want to help people and more specifically make an impact on people's lives in an individual level. So you could see the impact that you're making in front of you. You get that adrenaline rush, when you're ED or when you're saving someone's lives, and you could see the impact that you're doing. So the high stakes aspect, it's what I enjoy. Yep. And then finally, for medicine more specifically, if you're a problem-solving person, it will be a good career for you because when you're treating a patient in terms of the biomedical side, there's lots of thinking in terms of treatment plan and diagnosis and how to manage the patient, and then that's in combination with the people side of things, which you want to form a connection with your patient. But all in all, they're both great career options. But when I'm 40 years old, I want to be able to say, I'm a doctor, I'm a fitness fanatic, and I'm also a YouTuber, and I'm an entrepreneur, maybe somewhere down the line or something like that.